everybody. Welcome back to Looking at Hollywood, starring our host, Skippy Lowe. We have a special guest today. I mean, anybody that could be a championship surfer and go right into the movies without the help of Frankie and Annette deserves to be spoken with by Skippy Lowe. And this guy has done so many things. You've seen him in so many of the James Bond movies. He was in the Choir Boys. He was with Shelley Winters in Bloody Mama. He was in the Buddy Holly story. He was in actual cricket. And now he's going to speak to us. So let's eavesdrop with Skippy Lowe and Don Stroud.
Don Stroud, working with Senor Ray, one of the greatest actresses ever, in Games, my favorite film. Don Stroud, I didn't know you even did that movie.
It's the first thing I ever did. I was under contract to Universal. Winnie James, Catherine Ross was there, Jimmy Caan was there, Harrison Ford was there.
Right.
Carey Snodgrass was there, Susan Clark, we had Susan St. James, we had a great stable of actors and actresses, and I had a crack with Simone Signoret, Jimmy Caan, and Catherine Ross to play Games, and it was a pretty successful film, way before its time, I think.
Curtis Harrington directed.
Curtis Harrington directed. The Universal days, the old days, we had the contract. They don't have those days anymore, which is a shame.
The youngest surfer, I mean, the youngest surfer ever, Don. I mean, you were one of the best, Annie, he was one of the best young surfers in the world.
Wow.
In the world.
Well,
Don Stroud.
I was fourth in the world.
Fourth in the world? Well,
Yeah.
one of the best. Come on,
That's
fourth in the world is pretty
well,
good.
In those days,
but you were young, very young, Don.
Oh, yeah, I was 18, 19 years
18.
old. But we surfed Makaha and Sunset Beach and Waimea Bay and Haleiwa and Banzai Pipeline, the big waves. So
Right.
the difference in surfing big waves and surfing like Zuma Beach in Santa Monica is the difference in surfing and driving a Cadillac. You know what I mean? It's a different story.
What made you get into surfing, Don?
Well, when you grow up in Hawaii, you either
Is
become
that where you grew up in Hawaii?
born and raised in Honolulu. You either become a pool hustler or a gigolo or a surfer. So I chose a gigolo and a surfer.
Oh, okay. Your mother, great singer.
And McCormack.
Anne McCormack. Did you know that his mother was a great singer? She worked in bands.
Well, she opened for Frank Sinatra around the world. They did all the USO shows and stuff like that.
Right.
And then she opened with Johnny Mathis, and she traveled with Raymond Burr on the USO shows and Bob Hope and all this stuff. That's how we ended up in Hawaii. She was singing in a club in Hawaii, and met my so-called father over there. He was married to my stepdad, Paul Livermore. They had a nightclub, and I grew up in the islands over there. Yeah.
Don. First film was Games.
Games.
Come to Hollywood. They'd bring you Hollywood, or they met
Well,
someone?
I was doing Hawaiian Eye.
In Hawaii.
I was doing Hawaiian Eye. I was Troy Donahue's stand-in.
Really?
And it was Bob Conrad, Connie Stevens, and Troy Donahue were the big stars at the time. And I asked Troy one day, I said, how much money did you make a week? I mean, he was a major, major star.
Right.
He was making like $3,000 a week. Well, I got on the next plane and took off for California. And I ended up parking cars at Scandia.
Scandia on Sunset.
And then I became a bouncer at the Whiskey A-Go-Go, which in those days...
Where you met Mamie Van Doren and all these great people. I heard about that, Don.
Listen, the Queen of England came in, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones came in, Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor was there. They were there every night. Donald Sutherland was there, Elliot Gould. Plus, we had the Doors, we had the Byrds, the Leaves, Buffalo Springfield, Janis Joplin, Chicago. Oh, it was great.
So you met them all?
Yeah. I was the bouncer, then eventually I became the manager there, which was a lot of fun too. But the Sunset Strip in those days, you had to stand in line to get a table. You used to come in the whiskey, the old days, Shelley Winters came in the whiskey all the time. But it was great. You have to stand in line to get a table. And I used to make like $200 or $300 a night.
Did you really?
Oh, we used to get a table cost you $20. And $20 in those days was a good table. You know.
Was there a lot of drugs going on in those days around that area?
LSD.
LSD?
There was no such thing as cocaine, and nobody drank. It was all Coca-Cola and 7-Ups and stuff in the whiskey. Nobody drank booze. Nobody took a little marijuana, but everybody was on LSD because Timothy Leary was coming in every night with his entourage. Frank Zappa with the Mothers of Invention were coming in. Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, they're all dead. Think about it. The Doors. Everybody was on LSD.
What does LSD really do, John?
What do I know about LSD?
You never took it? Never took it? Come on. You taken drugs when you were...
I experimented.
You experimented.
I experimented with LSD.
Have you ever tried that when you were a child around
LSD was not my era.
It wasn't?
No.
I was just wondering that's for people who need help for mental things, didn't it, John?
Well, I would think the people that took too much need the mental help now is what the problem is. But LSD it was definitely a fad thing. I mean, we used to take LSD like a couple of times a week, you know, when everybody was just flying on LSD. But it was just before long hair started, then everybody started growing their hairs long, and then everybody was into the early Beatles
Right,
and the
right,
Rolling
right.
Stones, and it was
So the
Jimi
Beatles
Hendrix.
used to come in there?
Oh, everybody used to. Queen of England
Really?
used to come in there. And oh, it was one of the greatest clubs on the Sunset Strip. Of course, Sneaky Pete's was next door.
Next door. I used to go there all
And
the
then
time.
we had the place called the Trip down the street, and
Right.
Gazzari's was up the
Right.
street. The Strip now is real different. It's more of a punk rock thing, which I've grown out of. But in my days, rock and roll was the best.
It was the best.
We'd go to Ben Frank's till 5 o'clock in the morning, and we never got home before sunlight. But you didn't get drunk, and you didn't get in trouble, and nobody was getting drunk driving tickets and stuff. How the town had changed through the years
Right.
after a while because of that damn cocaine. The cocaine changed the whole thing, the whole mood. It got to be a much more violent thing, and then the robberies started, then the thousands of hookers and stuff,
Right.
and then of course the smoking of the cocaine, the bass and all that stuff. It just turned the whole town into a nightmare. And I really thank God that stuff never came my way. I mean, I've experimented with drugs, and thanks to God.
And drinking?
Oh, I was a terrible drinker. I used to get.
You drink?
Oh no, I don't touch. I don't
No
touch.
more. You gave up.
You can't tell.
You look wonderful.
I don't drink.
You
I
had
don't
a hard
smoke.
time in your life out here.
Well,
but
you know, I had a hard time, but I worked all the time, and
busiest actor around.
Wow.
you know,
busiest actor.
I've done like a couple of hundred television shows and maybe 75 films. Of course, they weren't Academy Award films, but then again, we did
But you worked.
a lot of good work. You know, a lot of good work, and did the James Bond. I was 20 weeks in Acapulco. I mean, that's a great. Your agent calls you up and says, "Well, how'd you like to go to Acapulco and
License
Mexico
to kill.
City
And make
License
money.
to kill.
for 20 weeks to do James Bond?" I said, "Oh, what a wonderful trip!" And then come back and see. I've always done television shows and movies at the same
Right.
time, so my career has been just wonderful.
Who did you study with, Don?
I never did.
Say that again.
Wow.
You never studied?
No, I never did.
See, that's what John Wayne said. Did you know John Wayne? These people
I never
back.
studied. Matter of fact,
That's a secret,
talking
isn't
about
it?
Shelley, one of the first things I ever did was the Bob Hope Crisis Theater, which is about, it's about 20 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Shelley and I had a part, and Shelley, we just met, and she's the one, the real acting coach, and Lee Strasberg, and they wanted me to come to New York and study with them.
Right.
And I couldn't see giving up work to go to New York and get an apartment and study acting and not
Right.
work. So I said, well, you know, if I get some time, maybe that's the wrong thing to say. But I was doing film after film after film. I would, Universal would loan me out to MGM, and then AIP, I did Angel Unchained, then Roger Corman, we did Bloody Mama, then when Richtofen and Brown, then I'd go do Tick, Tick, Tick at MGM, and then I'd go over to Paramount, and I was only making like $300 a week.
But you worked.
Oh, I
But
worked all the
You
time.
didn't have time for class.
And then I'd come back to Universal and do the Virginia, and the Name of the Game, and Ironside, and
MacGyver.
oh, you name them.
MacGyver.
They were all out there.
You did them all.
And then Universal would send me to the Academy Awards with one of their starlets in a limousine, and I'd have like $5 in my pocket with a tuxedo on and all this stuff. We didn't have a dime, but it was different times. I had my motorcycle, and I was living in Laurel Canyon, up by Frank Zappa, and I used to go with a girl named Susie Cream Cheese, which they made the famous
Right.
song about. And you didn't really need a lot of money in those days. It was wonderful
Did
times.
you ever turn down a part that you regret lately,
Well,
Don?
I'm not one to turn down a lot of
I
parts.
bet. That's what I'm saying, right?
I think the most important thing about being an actor, you know, I've never been up for the Academy Awards or anything like that, but I like my record. I mean, I love to work. You know, I just love to work. I think my whole greatest thing of life was I used to hang around my trailer after work for hours.
Really?
Oh, I still do. I just love the trailer and getting up at 5 in the morning and going to work, and I've traveled all over the world. I've been to Yugoslavia and France and Italy and Greece, and we were in the Philippines and Hong Kong, and oh, I go on and on.
Who's some of the actors, looking back, who's some of the actors that you have learned and
Well,
films?
Clint Eastwood. I did a couple good films with Clint Eastwood and Shelley Winters and Richard Burton.
So you have learned from them
Oh, sure, you
on
know.
the sets?
Oh, yeah, but you know, my favorite actor really is Al Pacino, and I got
God,
it.
is he good?
Oh, he's wonderful.
God,
he's
he's
wonderful.
wonderful.
But
Yeah.
I like Dog Day Afternoon and some of those films that weren't as big as like The Godfather, but Dog Day Afternoon was just, it was just so wonderful.
You like to play those mean roles, Don, don't you? Why is Don Stroud loves to play those mean roles?
Well, when I first started Universal, they really came my way, you know, from Clint Eastwood to Coogan's Bluff. This guy was a real bitch, you know, on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And Clint Eastwood was just chasing him. And then I went into Madigan. He was a Puerto Rican pimp in Harlem. We shot it down in Harlem.
Right.
With Henry Fonda. I got to work with Henry Fonda.
Did
and
you
that
really?
stuff. It was the old days. And then I did But then I did the Mike Hammer series with Stacy Keach for 3 years, where I played the captain of Homicide, and he was far from a mean guy. He was a tough guy, but he wasn't a mean guy. And then I got a chance to play the Kahuna on the Gidget series, the new Gidget series, which is the most fun in the world because I'd come to work in the morning with my shorts, my T-shirt, my sandals, and my cap on, put on their shorts, their sandals, their cap, and go out and surf.
You like to do comedy, don't you?
Well, that was a Kahuna. It was a little bit of a comedy. It wasn't
yes.
fall down laugh track.
No.
But
That was a cute series.
it was fun, you know. But I was doing 2 series at the same time. That's why I can't stand actors that ever complain about what time do we get off work and all that kind of stuff. Because I remember when I was doing the Mike Hammer series and Gidget at the same time, they were so completely different. One was a New York cop and the other one was a Malibu surfer. And every once in a while, I'd kind of complain, oh, I'm a little tired tonight. Oh, thank you God for those wonderful times and moments.
Yes.
You know, I mean, everybody should be so lucky to do that.
Don has no regrets in life about his show business or what you've done. Looking back over your life, Don.
Well, you know
you've had a good time,
One thing
would
I
you
think
say?
that there's a lot of kids that come to this town.
Yeah.
And they all want to be actors and with the most sincere attitude. And they get into this party thing. You know, to become an actor now is a lot more hard than it used to be. Well, there's the parts aren't there like they used to. And even like myself, I used to go from show to show to show to show to show. Now there's people that had series and stuff like that and very successful actors that don't work as much. Right. And now they're in the category of doing an episodic show where before, I don't do episodic, I only do films. Now everybody will take, you know, times have changed.
Right.
It's gotten tighter. And that's why I think the acting gods have been very good to me. Because I go sort of like a freight train.
Yeah, you certainly do. You brought a clip. I want to show a clip how freight train you are. Annie, would you show this clip of Don Stroud?
What do you got?
We're going to show it, Don. It's a good clip of your freight train. We'll see. Okay.
Music, maestro.
Want to get out of here? The king can fix it. The king can fix anything.
Yeah, I see you're doing a good job of getting yourself out.
I am, Taylor. The fuck do you think I'm doing in the same pen with you? Name's King for a reason, man. I can get you out on an appeal in less than a month. In exchange, you give me a year. Deal? Hey, man, I want to hire you as a pilot. Got a few shipments I want to fly out to South America. With your combat track record, man, it's perfect. Taylor, like I've been trying to tell you, man, you and I should be working together, huh?
And like I've been telling you, fuck off.
Fuck off.
Herman, I got nothing to do with this.
Howard. Howard, Mr. Brill.
Howard, Herman, listen. You owe me 200 grand. You want out of this? You pay up.
Well, hey, you know I can't do that, Mr. Brill.
All I know is I'm on trial, and I could go away for the rest of my life. You got a problem? Talk to your client.
I did, and he told me to see you. The hitter you sent us wants double.
Oh, double for what, a priest?
It's a religious thing.
Yeah, right. What's with that dog anyway? Herman, go see what he's up to, will you?
Dogs don't really like him.
Oh, grow up. It's just a puppy. Here, something about dogs. Come on. Afraid? Come here, puppy. Here's my dog.
Oh, just incredible, I'm telling you.
Oh.
Don Stroud, Two for Tango. Tell me about Two for Tango.
Well, we shot it in Buenos Aires, which when I heard about going to Buenos Aires, I thought it'd be like going to Peru or something like that.
Right.
I get off the plane. It's a magnificent. It's like Madrid. It's like France. It's like Spain. The people are wonderful there. The food is wonderful there.
Is that a takeoff on Brando 2 for Tango? Come on.
Well, it's certainly the same type of character, you know what I mean? But I did the scene with Miss Brazil, which was Adrian Sachs. It was a pretty sexy gal. But the funniest thing about it was her husband is one of the head heart surgeons in New York.
Really?
Now, we have sex scenes in this film that are strictly X-rated sex scenes.
Really?
Can you imagine this doctor inviting all the chief of staff to come watch the premiere and stuff, and they're all sitting there and his wife sitting there doing these...
Can you get this on video right now, to 2 for Tango?
Not those scenes.
No, but the...
Oh, sure, I have it at home.
You...
But it's incredible scenes. But anyway, it was a fair film, but I'm glad I got to see Argentina.
Argentina, right.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Growing back in Hawaii, let's go back. You were saying to me that you lived with your stepfather. Your mother was a singer.
Still is.
Yes, she still is.
Well, they live in Vegas, sort of retired, but she does shows. And
she met Marlon Brando while she was singing. Come on. I heard that, Don, I heard that Brando and your mother had an affair. And she had a child and you are Brando's son. Brando had many children. He doesn't like to clean. There's Brando kids all around. And really, looking at you, there is a resemblance. Am I right, Annie?
Well,
come on, John Stroud.
My mouth is agape.
You know,
Don Stroud.
Well, you know, it's funny when I say it to my mom. She goes, "Oh, stop!" You know.
Your mother doesn't want.
But she does it real casual. She goes, "Oh, stop!" You know. She goes like that when I say. People tell me, Shelley Witness tells me, and I met Marlon in Hawaii, and was all so close and everything. And
Right.
He used to come into the restaurant all the time and
to see your mother.
Oh, they're best of pals.
Right.
They met over in the islands and years ago. And how lucky could you get? You know, I could have a younger brother in prison.
How can you? Why doesn't he? You ever see your father? You ever see
I saw him
Marlon?
in Hawaii. You know, I saw him in Hawaii.
When you growing up?
Oh, sure.
He used to come and see you?
Well, he'd come to the restaurant all the time. We had a place called the Embers. My
Right.
stepdad had a steakhouse, and my mom was singing there.
Right.
And it was one of the top joints in the islands. And he'd come in all the time. When they were doing Mutiny on the Bounty, they'd come in there, and they were doing several things in different parts of the world that always stop back in Hawaii.
Do you ever go see your father, Marlon? Say hi, Pop, and all that?
Well,
Don?
No, I haven't. I'm not.
A lot of people in
You're
Don
making me stutter, man. You're very rare to stutter.
A lot of people don't know Don Stroud is Marlon Brando's son.
I didn't.
You know, you didn't. I did. I found out and
He hasn't actually said it.
No, I mean, it's...
Well, look at him. It's a resemblance that there is...
Well, maybe when I was younger, I looked a lot more like him.
You did, yes, very much so.
You know.
You still do, though.
I mean, it's nothing that... Many people have told me, many people that are close...
Do you ever make a phone call and say,
him.
talk to Dad and want to see something?
No.
Or does he? He doesn't. He's very shy, isn't he?
See, like, my claim to be father is one of the Stroud twins, Clarence and Claude Stroud.
That's right.
Now, my father's 5'2", brown hair, and
Supposed
black
to be.
and brown eyes.
Supposed to be your father, right.
You're supposed to be my father.
Exactly.
He looks about as much like my father.
That's
Then
right.
I have a brother and a sister from
the Strouds.
Not my mother, but from the Strouds that look like as much as you and I, or no, we're not brothers.
Right.
I mean, we're just different things. And they go like, how do these people and how do I fit in this group of people? You know what I mean? So who
Marlon
knows?
Brando has many children scattered all over. He has his maid, just had 2 more. He has many children all over, John.
And we might have one right here.
It is one right here. It is. Don Stroud is Marlon Brando's kid.
You know, what are you going to do? You know,
Don Stroud, looking back in New York, you had an experience in New York City about a year and a half ago, or what? What? Tell me about that.
Well, I'm just getting over it. You know, I was
You had a
staying at
terrible
the Essex
tragedy.
house. Yeah, I was staying at the Essex house, and I was walking home one night, and there was 6 guys.
On 58th Street. I lived right there,
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
on the
Nice
Essex house.
section.
Yeah. What happened, Don?
Well, these 6 guys were robbing this kid, you know, and I tried to help him. And I guess as it was happening, I kept waiting for someone to yell, cut. You know, I've made so many movies where I've been in so many violent trips and all that. To me, I think that when it all started, I thought I was making a movie almost.
Right.
And then when they started stabbing me, and I lost this eye here. And
Did you really?
oh, this is all gone over here. Yeah,
They stabbed you right in the eye?
thank God this is back. This was all paralyzed and stuff. And concussion, broke my arm, broke my nose. Anyway, I got stabbed 10 times.
Oops.
Trying to save this kid from getting killed. But that's what happened. Just
Do you have any
walking home one
bitterness
night.
over that?
You know, I really don't. I think I've handled it fairly well. When it first happened, I sort of drank a lot.
Oh, you did?
And stayed home.
In New York?
No, I came back to California. I was working in New York when it happened. I was just working there, and thank God the gig was over, and I was wrapping up something. Matter of fact, I was just coming back from Europe, and I was staying in New York. And there was about 9 months where it was pretty rough.
Was it? But you met a lady, though. You met a lady who really took care of Don Stroud.
Yeah, Teri, my savior. She's my bodyguard.
Savior.
Savior.
I like that word, savior.
Yeah,
Why do you say savior? What happened, Don?
You know, we went through a thing where when we first met, it was definitely the wrong road and the wrong times that we were traveling on. You know. And we didn't go to AA, and we didn't go to any functions, and we didn't ask for any help. We just said, look, what do we want to do here? We sort of did it on our own, which I've been to a lot of different things in life and gone through a lot of, seems like my life is one withdrawal after another.
No,
No, it's become a joke. Like when I did Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, the guys in Hawaii call it Lifestyles of the Broken Famous, you know what I mean? But it was always such fun. But you know, when we met, it was like, you know, things were not good. They were rough. You know, we were taking a lot of drugs, and I was drinking. Oh man, did I drink! And I was bloated and fat. And I mean, we go to the gym every day now, and I surf.
You just stopped just like that. You and Teri.
Just like that.
She helped you and stopped.
Just like that, Skippy.
No AA, nothing.
Just like that. That's why it's so good.
That
you know?
is good.
And it's been a long time. It hasn't been a couple of days. It's been many times.
You still have the urge right now?
Every day.
Every day?
I could smoke a joint with you right now if I wanted.
Really?
Well, I'd like to have a drink, but see, my deal is I don't have a glass of wine with dinner. You know what I mean? I have a bottle of vodka.
Oh, I see.
You see what I mean? I don't have a line of Coke. I do a gram of Coke.
Yeah.
And my life has always been that way. Ever since that's the way you grew up in Hawaii. You go get drunk. You don't go have a beer with the boys. You go get drunk with the boys. And my life has always been that way, and that's why this whole situation, I'm just stopping the way it is. But we go to the gym every day. I mean, I'm going to be 50 years old soon, and I'm surfing as good as I used to surf. And you know, I'm still surfing pretty good, and certainly not.
Every day you're surfing now, back again.
Yeah, and I go to the gym every day
Good
and work out, and you know, I just smoke 2 packs of cigarettes and drink a bottle of booze and do a gram of Coke a day.
Oh, wow.
You know, and that's.
What's your happiest memory right now in your life? Right now in your life, right now. What is Don Stroud's happiest
Well, you
memory?
know, I grew up on the beach, and
that's where you want to go. That's your happiest.
See, I grew up on the beach, and I was only one of the few haole kids, white kids, that were accepted, and actually the Hawaiians let cut in on their action. I made my living on the beach, where the other white kids could hang out at the beach. When I say white, I mean haole, Caucasian, mainland kids. They could hang out at the beach. But these Hawaiians let me actually work on the beach, and I taught surfing, and I sailed the catamaran, and I did the canoes, and I was a lifeguard for many years. Yeah. And when I went to school, I was the only white kid in the whole school. I mean, that's amazing. I went to school called Kaimiki High School, and where I didn't wear shoes till I had to go to high school. We didn't wear shoes in junior high or high school, so this was a real local type of thing. And I never had any problems or anything like that, because I played football, and I was the only white kid in the whole football league, except for a school called Punahou, where the white kids sort of went to, but I couldn't go because I wasn't smart enough. My sister went to it. I didn't have the smarts for it.
That's good.
But like when I was a kid, I took really heavy pigeon, which is a Hawaiian type of lingo, and I paddled the Molokai Channel, which is a great thing. I paddled for the Waikiki Surf Club, where in those days no haoles were allowed and accepted to. They'd come from the mainland and try and paddle against us guys. We'd beat them by miles. But the Molokai Channel was a 36-mile race from Molokai to Oahu, one of the roughest channels in the world. And it was just the privileges of, I remember one day bailing out, and the shark, this 15-foot shark, was just cruising my body and touching my body. I could see his eyes, and I was wading in the water as I bailed out of the canoe to get into the escort boat in the middle of the ocean. And just this haole boy was a lucky boy that day that the shark let him go and all those, and missing my escort boat. And I surfed, you know, I surfed Makaha, 20-foot waves, and when only the Hawaiians did in the old days, and the only haoles were George Downing and Buzzy Trent and Pat Curran, and now I know they're kids. Their kids all surf.
See,
at
those are
Midtown.
your happiest memories, Don Stroud.
Yeah.
Looking back over your life right now, looking back over your life, Don Stroud. Would you do it the same way?
Well,
would you?
You know, I definitely take some things back. I made some really stupid moves, and just a word for the wives of actors. I mean, you know, I'm going to be 50 years old, and I've made a lot of money. It would have been so simple for me to put away a couple of $100 a month through the years. through the credit union or whatever.
Right.
I would have mucho dinero.
Right.
I'm doing okay, and I got no complaints about money. But just, you know, the actors that come to town and get these series and stuff. I know so many of them that ran out and bought a Mercedes and bought a home up in Malibu. And 4 or 5 years later, they're just busted, man. You know, just busted. I mean, when I was doing my camera series, I made $20,000 a week.
A week?
Yeah. And see, you don't get that.
You blew all that money?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I'm saying I'm very fortunate man
by saving
that I made a couple of good moves.
Yes.
But I know literally hundreds of people that have. And the series don't come like they used to.
Yeah.
You know, the old Chip days and the Ironsides and the Hawaii Five-0, the Street San Francisco. And when Aaron Spelling was doing, he was doing 5 or 6 shows. And you do 5 or 6 Aaron Spelling shows from Charlie's Angels to Starsky and Hutch to Love Boat in Dallas. And then you'd go to Quinn Martin show and do the Cannons and the Barnaby Jones. And I mean, the shows went on and on and on. And Universal, it was just great. So,
what was the most satisfying thing that Don Stroud has done in life?
Well, you know, I just went up to my uncle one day and said, you know, I want to borrow $100 and become an actor.
Is that what happened?
And they just you know. And I went to Universal, and Dick Clayton was my first agent. He had James Dean and Jane Fonda.
Dick Clayton,
and he had Burt Reynolds and Jane Fonda, and he took me on as a client. The first thing I was ever up for was Midnight Cowboy, and I tested with John Voight. And myself and Michael Saracen. Actually, Michael Saracen got the part.
Good actors. You're going down with good
Tested with Dustin Hoffman.
Right.
John Schlesinger, they flew us to New York. And I just came off the beach about a year ago, you know. I didn't know how to read a script or anything like that. And John Schlesinger loved my work. I'd done games with Simone Signoret, the only thing I've ever done. But they put me under contract for 7 years. And I just came off the beach one day, and Howie Horowitz, who did Batman and some successful things, was producing Hawaiian, not a 5-0, Hawaiian I, with Troy Donahue, and said, hey, kid, can you surf? I said, oh, can I surf?
Great.
And I
You still see Troy around? He lives in Malibu, I mean, in Santa Monica. You live in Malibu.
I see him now and then, but I wish I could have carried out the friendship like I wanted
He's
to.
on AA. Troy is AA. He doesn't drink. He looks great, Annie. He looks just
I'm not
wonderful.
saying AA isn't a wonderful thing.
No, it is, but you're doing great without it.
Well, you know,
Not everybody
God bless
can
the
do.
people that do it the way they can do it. And the most important thing in life about drugs and all that kind of stuff is us just sitting here right now.
Yes.
I'm not going to think about tonight and tomorrow morning and all that stuff. You know, it's like my main thing before was cocaine, and then we'll go sit here and talk and stuff like that. So the most important thing is
let's talk once more about Brando.
You love that, don't you?
No, I love it because that's your father. And people don't know that.
I don't know, you know, I mean.
You know, Don,
making me nervous.
Seems to know.
Don,
making me a little nervous.
Well, I think they should all know it. You know, Don Stroud, why hide it anymore? At this time of the age, 50 years old, why hide it anymore?
Well,
why hide it?
How old is my dad now?
Older than you.
Well, I don't know, but evidently you must have been one of the first children.
Oh, of course.
You were.
Yeah.
You had to be.
Yeah.
He must have loved your mother because your mother.
Well, my mom's a gas.
Is she?
Do you know my mom?
No, I don't.
Oh, my mom is.
She's still singing. She's in Vegas singing.
Oh, my mom is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. I mean, she looks like Elizabeth Taylor.
Does she really?
My mom's a real nice looking lady. Great singer. I would compare her to Judy Garland.
Really?
Yeah. Well, she opened for Frank Sinatra all over the world,